My name is Adam. I'm an aspiring filmmaker, a photographer, a bit of an adventurer, and most recently, a nomad. I'm back on the road and I'm not doing it alone. I'm teaming up with other travelers chasing the same dreams as me, to live life on our own terms. From exploring their rigs to unveiling their lifestyles, we explore what the pursuit of Borderless looks like. What is going on? I think I finally started to go a little crazy. Spending 3 weeks in the desert alone will do that to you. But it's something I had to force myself to do. It was challenging, but in the end, it made my 4th week in the desert one of the best weeks of my life. Okay, so let's back up. I had just finished a week-long road trip from Texas to California. I was chasing this band that lived in this bus all the way to San Diego, and I'd convinced my dad to jump in for the ride, and it turned out to be an amazing road trip. We got to explore 2 national parks and find some hidden gems along the way. But after a sprint halfway across the country, I finally had some downtime to get some work done. Yes, I do work. Living in a van is not play all the time. You do have to make a living too. So I had 3 weeks to myself before my next scheduled meetup with some new nomad friends. So the most efficient way I know how to get a lot of work done is to sit down with no distractions and just do it. So I parked my van in a state park in Arizona for all 3 weeks. I was able to plug the van up for power and air conditioning and just grind out some work with no distractions. Well, almost no distractions. I've never really spent much time in the desert, and I was constantly blown away by the landscape, the cactuses, and most importantly, the sunsets. I mean, come on, look at that sunset. But 3 weeks in the desert without any human contact gets old really quickly. I think I called my mother more times than I ever had in my life. But I finally finished my deadlines and I was back on the road, more stoked than ever to meet up with the Good Vibe Collectives for my first van life meetup. I was truly excited for this next location. Every traveler I interview, I always ask for recommendations for places to check out, or what their favorite places are. And this is what Mark and Billy had to say about that.
Number one place people should go, and when we're not being biased, Colorado's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Our second favorite place we've been would be Washington State. Number 3.
Number 3. I love Sedona. I mean, just those. So we were waking up every single morning with hot air balloons flying over the bus. And like you just have the red, it's nothing I've ever experienced in my life before. And it's just such a different terrain that it's just, you're like, whoa. And every sunrise, every sunset, it's beautiful there.
I'm happy to report that Sedona is as beautiful as advertised. It was only a 4-hour drive from the state park that I was staying in, but the difference is the elevation. Sedona is high desert. It's at 4,300 feet. This was the first cold desert I'd ever been to. The annual average temperatures are between 75 and 45. For my first van life gathering, we were meeting in the public lands outside of Sedona in the Coconino National Forest, where there is nothing for miles. No standing buildings, no running water, just dirt roads and mountain views. I definitely got lost quite a few times, but I finally found the sign that I was looking for. As the event kicked off, more and more vehicles started showing up. All kinds of vehicles, vans, buses, camper trucks, pull-behinds, and even an ambulance. And it felt like lifelong friendships were formed instantly. Everybody wanted to check out the inside of each other's rigs, to share lessons learned, and to trade war stories. The more people I met, the more I discovered that most of us share a similar backstory that led us to this crazy lifestyle. Like my friends Allie and Joe, where all it took was one trip to get them hooked.
I had just graduated from college, so it was kind of a celebration of that. We wanted to get out and see the country, take a big road trip. It kind of spiraled out into a big 3-4 month adventure that was, kind of how we got the taste of living on the road and figured out a lot of the stuff that's out here and saw other people doing this full time and kind of got inspired to do it ourselves.
And this is Meg, and her dreams of being a nomad simply came from spending a lot of time out on the open road.
I had started to do a lot of traveling in my early 20s, and I loved that. I had done a few road trips by myself. I think I had gone across the country 4 4 times. Some of those were with my dog, some were completely alone.
Meg just started her first year on this van life journey, and she is a solo female traveler. Well, almost solo. She travels with her dog Wrigley, and her bunny, appropriately named Bunny.
This is my van. It is a 2018 Ram ProMaster. My favorite things about my van are my big sink and my beautiful black faucet, and my stove and my oven I absolutely love. One choice that I made with my van is I built this out. Like, I have a very narrow doorway, but I really wanted that space for the counter space and the drawers and stuff. So it's a little tight coming in and out, but I don't regret it. The most important thing about my van is this guy right here. This is my 90 pounds dog named Wrigley.
And Wrigley was not alone. It seems like animals and travel go hand in hand. There were so many animals. Rabbits, cats, dogs. So many dogs. But there are also so many different kinds of travelers. From the solo traveler to the adventure couple to full-on families. The community was diverse, accepting, encouraging, and active. So many activities. From morning yoga to group hikes, potluck dinners, and meaningful conversations by the fire, and just as advertised, good vibes all around. So I wanted to sit down with the founders of the Good Vibe Collectives to hear how all of this got started.
One of my big reasons for kind of getting into this was I wanted to see things and see people and get new perspectives and new experiences. And the first things I found were all like paid events, like just like a festival basically. You know, never made a lot of money, don't spend a lot of money. And so the idea of having to pay to come together to just meet people, it felt like it was limiting itself. I think it caps the ability for community to form naturally and spontaneously and find those little connections and spur off where you need to. When I met Matt at one of those events, and I think I gravitated towards his idea of like the caravan afterward and, you know, meeting up afterward on public land. It felt a little bit like less pressure, less money, a little bit more free flowing. And it piqued my interest right away, so.
It's much more intimate.
Yeah, a lot more intimate, I think. That's a good word for it.
Yeah, and that's what you learn, I think, when you go to different gatherings. We've had the fortune of going to van gatherings, both on pavement, with bright lights over top of you, and in beautiful nature next to a riverside. And you see the pros and cons of all of them. And what we try to do at Good Vibe is figure out how to take all those experiences and create something that we think is the best of all of that. And bringing the size down to something that's more intimate, where you get to know everybody that's at the event, is a really important priority of ours. And then allowing people to contribute their passion. You know, it's all about getting that ball rolling. You start by hosting the pancake breakfast one morning, and then somebody else is leading the guitars music later that night, and you know, someone's doing yoga the next morning. Then you start to see this ball roll where everybody wants to contribute, everybody wants to become a part of this and make it better. And that's the community that I love. That's what fires me up, is what gets me going. For me, that's what it's all about.
Because again, like the thing we say to people all the time at these events is like, it's you who make the event what it is. It's the people who make the event. Like, we're setting up a table and like building a fire pit, but like there's nothing on that table and there's no conversation around the fire pit if the people don't come.
I love the concept of bringing what you have and contributing your passions. But that's not always easy. Like, sharing what you have, that's easy. But sharing your passions can kind of be an intimidating thing. I'm sure all of us can relate to getting nerd shamed after casually inserting sci-fi references into everyday conversations. Just me? Okay, never mind. Sharing your passions is like sharing a spark. Some people are wet blankets, and some people are tinder boxes. Lucky for me, I was around people that chose a life that intentionally seeks out the most beautiful places we can find. And do you know what people like to take to those kinds of places? Cameras. So many cameras. I'm pretty sure everyone there had some form of a camera to document their journey. And as someone who's spent the past 10 years playing with cameras and documenting my own journey, I had more than my fair share to say. So much so that Matt and Chris suggested that I hold a camera workshop. But I don't consider myself a teacher, more of a forever student. So I elected to have a lot of one-on-one conversations, answering questions where I thought I could and asking plenty of my own. As someone who has tried to live somewhat of an artistic life, cameras have shaped how I frame and view the world. So here are 3 life perspectives I've picked up on my journey as a cinematographer, a photographer, and an artist. The definition of a cinematographer is kind of all over the place, but basically it's the guy with the camera recording video. To me, cinematography is using light, movement, cameras, and lenses to create a visual language, capturing moving images to tell compelling stories. The most common questions I get focus on gear. What camera do I use, and what lens do I recommend? But I always say that each piece of gear is just a tool that serves a purpose. It's true that a good lens will give you a specific look and a very unique perspective. A macro lens will magnify small objects and give you all the details your eyes would miss. A telephoto lens will give your subject separation from the background and force your focus. And a wide-angle lens is good for placing your subject in an environment. But a lens is just a tool that serves the story, and the story is the most important part. No matter what gear you have a story. And you have an impact when you live that story out loud and share it with the world. Devin and Brianna, also known as Basically Nomads, are social media influencers, and they've been sharing their nomadic journey for over 6 years. This is their first van life event as well, and we had so many conversations about storytelling and the impact that they can have on the world.
Everyone always says, like, man, I wish we could do what you're doing, or I wish we could have the experiences that you had or gone to the places that you've gone to.
What are you
and
waiting
it's
for?
like, you can. Like, we chose to live this lifestyle for a reason. So it's been really cool to see another bus life couple here say to us, like, oh, we've been following you for a long time, and like we finally got to meet in person, and like they're fresh on the road and their build isn't even complete yet, but like they're doing what they saw us doing. So therefore, I know we've inspired someone, whether it's one person, one couple, to do what we're doing. Like, that's amazing.
Brendan and Sophia are from Canada, and they're only 3 months into this nomadic journey, so this is their first community event as well.
It was definitely my idea. Yeah.
100%. As soon as somehow she convinced me that we were doing it, we bought a bus within a week or 2 weeks, and then we converted it really fast while working full time. Like every night from 4:30 p.m. until 10 p.m. we did the whole thing in 4 months, and then we got on the road like right away. It's really been wonderful. I think I've learned more in the last 2 days than we have in, at least since we came to the States, I think.
I think it's really good for Brennan. Brennan's such a social butterfly. Like, he needs this kind of once in a while, just a lot of people.
Yeah, I do. We've learned so much. I don't know, like everyone's got different. Steve here is like the most interesting man in the world to me. He's like a professional welder, professional artist,
Brennan wakes
good dog
up,
captain.
The first things he says is, man, Steve is such a interesting dude.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I also was fascinated by Steve. Steve was one of the quietest people in the first couple of days, but by day 3 he's leading the charge at karaoke night. Steve is an incredibly talented artist, but also a deep thinker, so we had a lot of conversations about life and art.
Everyone I've met here is chasing their dreams equally, and that doesn't exist in the 9-to-5 world. I've met so many people here that think similarly to me and have had similar experiences to me, and I always felt like I never fit in. Like, whatever the normal path of go to school, get a job, work, wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted more control out of my life. It's like that, like at the end of your life, like, what's your story? Did you just get up and go to work and have a 9-to-5 and then retire at 65? And what's the story? I don't want a boring story.
The thing that surprised me the most was how fast people connected with one another. And I think that's the genius in how Matt and Chris put this event together. Like a well-planned photograph, they had all the settings dialed in to create community.
I think we need to be able to connect more, and it takes time. I think that what's happened over the last 100 years, 200 years is that we've prioritized development and progress and speed over, again, like life energy, like fulfillment in life, living a good life, getting to know your neighbor, being part of the ecosystem.
One of the lessons I've learned as a photographer is knowing what you want to capture and then mastering the settings to make it happen. The 3 basic settings in photography are shutter speed, ISO, and aperture. Shutter speed refers to how long you let the light into the camera. You can freeze time with a high shutter speed, or you can use a lower shutter speed, which allows a lot of light to come in during a long duration of time, and this is typically how I take photos of stars. And if you're wondering, yes, I have to stand frozen like this for 30 seconds, hoping my friends don't catch me. Adjusting the aperture affects the sharpness and the size of the focus plane. Basically, do you want a single point of focus or do you want everything in focus? And the last setting is ISO, and that adjusts the camera's sensitivity to light. And so I think it's no accident that the settings for this event are in such a beautiful and remote place with no distractions, so we can slow down, we can focus on connecting, and we can share our stories, our passions, and good vibes all around. And therefore, Matt and Chris have created the perfect picture of community.
When a need or a desire or like an interest arises, we don't have to go outside the nomadic community. There's a really strong chance that the person who's parked next to you already has or is interested in the thing that you want to do. I've seen that happen again and again and again. Even at this camp, we had a flat tire, one message to the group, and like 6 people mobilized. And
a leaf spring that was welded.
A leaf spring broke on the way in. It turns out we had a welder in camp, and he had his power with him and his welding gear, and suddenly it's fixed again.
I'm like, of course I'll help. I have a welder, I have a generator. I like to help people. Welding for actual people and being able to help people is so much more rewarding than welding, just as a job for a company. The work means something to those people. Of course, it brought me so much joy that I could help. I don't know, there's no doubt, who wouldn't help if they could? And that's something all these people, everyone just wants to help. Everyone's like, I'm going into town, does anyone need anything? Everyone just wants to help. And I mean, that's one of the things being on the road, you're not around people so much, so when you are, you value them more.
You don't even have to ask. If you see somebody working on something, it's like, hey, how can I help? That's just, yeah. I don't know if that's everywhere.
No, it's been cool to see everyone's expertise. There's a welder here. There's someone who's an expert in solar. Everyone's bringing something to the table, which is really great to see. It's a really great feeling to come together and all have a different...
Something to give.
Something to give, yeah.
It was amazing to watch a community take action and solve problems. And it's a good thing we had so much experience all in one place, because this was not the only vehicle to suffer the wrath of these extreme desert roads. Honestly, I'm surprised more vehicles didn't get busted up trying to get down this road. Seriously, it was one of the more sketchy roads I've been down. Rocks the size of softballs, potholes that would threaten to swallow your tires whole, and over 2,000 feet of driving to get to the top of the hill, which was deemed the Good Vibe Village. But then a vehicle showed up that had a 0% chance of getting stuck, and it ended up being one of the coolest rigs I have ever seen. This military rig is owned and operated by Zach and Crystal. They were weekend warriors that lived the 9-to-5 lifestyle until they decided to go all in when they found this rig.
Well, this is our not-so-tiny house on wheels, isn't that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. As you can see, it's got 47-inch tires. Both sides pop out 3 feet. So the outside is basically stock. There were no underbelly boxes. There was no hydronic heater. And then obviously adding the solar to the roof. The back deck and stairs, those are all stock. So it's got a mini split in there. And then that silver tank below is a marine hot water tank running on shore power or off the hydronic coolant loop. And then that black square is a on-demand propane for domestic hot water.
Come on in. Once you walk in, right here is our bathroom. And this shower door works for a bathroom door or a shower door here. So that's our shower. So this is our kitchen sink, and we designed that to be used multiple different ways. You can use it from all sides or both sides at one time. We have a fridge freezer right under the sink. And then this is our kitchen table here, and just pops up, and we keep 2 folding chairs. This is kind of Zach's room or side of the house, and that's my side. It's our basically like our nightstands and our dresser, our clothing storage and everything. This is our kitchen, which is a workbench on wheels, we left it on wheels on purpose. This truck needs to fold in when we hit the road, so we bring our kitchen into the middle of the truck. We latch it down because we really do go off-road. We enjoy that, so we make sure everything's secure. And then up above is our bed. So we keep our king size bed up here during the day, which was by design to maximize the floor space. You can see we have a lot of floor space in here. And then this bed, Zach built it on independent motors, so which is kind of a cool feature that he did. He puts it so we just lower the bed like so. And so since it's on independent motors, that means you can, you know, level the bed instead of level the truck by just making some simple adjustments. So I think as far as the interior, the house is super comfortable. Zach just did an incredible job. We worked together on the design and the colors and the layout and so forth. Yeah, the first time we left, we called it our shakedown cruise. We didn't have carpet on the floor and quickly learned it gets pretty chilly because everything in here is metal. And so we did, when we came back, we added padding and carpet, and just it is our home. It's not just a weekend camp trip. It's not just for overlanding every now and then, although if you did, it would be extremely comfortable. But it is our full-time home, so it's nice to have it comfortable with carpet.
Hide all the electronics and heating and cooling. So we've got 600 amp hours of 24 volt batteries, a mini split, shore chargers, battery management systems. And then under here is our water filtration system. It's got, I think, 7 filters, reverse osmosis, UV cure. So that's why we can throw a hose in a creek or river, lake, and then dispensed in the his and hers drinking faucets.
As you can imagine, this military rig was a standout vehicle. Everybody wanted to check this thing out.
This is only our second event like this, but we say we drive one of the biggest icebreakers there is on the road. People come out of the woodwork to see this. This build took a full year. That was 40 to 50 hours a week. And we've been in it just about 3 years.
Well, when we first started, we didn't know what we were doing, of course, but we told ourselves, yeah, let's build this house on wheels and let's travel the US for a year or two. We'll see the entire US and then we'll drive to South America. We quickly learned that that route and that schedule was nonsense. We just wanted to slow down and we started meeting people everywhere we went, like this van group that we're with this week. Everybody has different areas that they can tell you about. Hey, you know what you should go do, or check this out. And we learned real quickly that it's just so wonderful to just let things happen and unfold. And every morning, love to go out on the back porch and have my morning coffee out there and look at the surroundings. And I appreciate the changing views, but I think it's become more about the people and the journey than the views.
And it's this concept of community over views that brings me to my last life lesson. As an artist, you start with a concept or a picture in your mind of what you want to create and how you want to create it. But sometimes what you accidentally capture and create ends up being way better than you originally planned. Life will humble you in that way. When I set out to live life on the road, it was an extension of my artistic expression. And I've been lucky enough to travel the world. I've seen some of the most beautiful landscapes, I filmed the best sunsets, I've taken photos of wildlife that I never even thought I'd see with my own eyes. My passion to explore the world and capture it with my camera put me on a path of adventure and true fulfillment. But the singular picture I had in my head around this nomadic lifestyle was creation. Constant changing views and an open road. Me, myself, and my cameras waiting for a good sunset. And then I came to this community event, and the story shifted. Life has given me a better picture than the one I was trying to create.
This is definitely the highest high we've had, is community. We thought we were going out to see the most beautiful places in America. And what we actually found was that all we wanted, more than anything, was to find community.
Yeah, because I feel like you can be in a beautiful place, but if you don't feel like you have community or I don't know, just a group to vibe with.
It's just a pretty place.
Yeah, it's just a pretty place. Community is everything, and we're finally here.
Living out here, $1 million views on public land, with other people, in community, feeling vulnerable, sharing our stories, our journey. That fills me up in a way that I don't think almost anything else could, because it's very personal and it's very much about like me living my best life, prioritizing my life and like lifetime and life energy over everything else. It's not that like a dollar is important, it's just not my priority. The priority first is like me having a life experience, and then everything else comes below that.
Participating in community is what made my 4th week in the desert so great. Being surrounded with like-minded people that are all living life on their own terms. We all went out to seek a life of adventure and freedom, but what we found was each other. It was like finding something we didn't even know we were looking for. We all choose to live a life that looks a little bit different, but the fundamentals of living are still the same. Become fully alive and share that life with others. Next time on Becoming Borderless, after an amazing week in the deserts of Sedona, the van life rally is finished. But for some of us, we decided to keep the party going.